started. We are here live on October 1st. It's the City Council Personnel Committee. We have one item on the agenda. We have the three members on the Personnel Committee here in chamber. It's Councilor Landers and Councilor Doucette. I'm going to ask if there are any other councilors remote, and if so, if you could please state who you are. And I'm getting a no that there are no other councilors. Perfect. All right, let's get this meeting started. We have order number 201-008-104. It's the communication from Mayor Regent with the appointment of Sean Duvall as DPW Commissioner for a 5-year term and a request to start him at a Step 2 salary. Ready? We'll turn over to Mr. Mayor if you'd like to say a few words.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members. I know this was short notice on the meeting, but we didn't want to lose any time and find a replacement or try to find a replacement for John Maloney. That was a task in itself, and we're very fortunate.
Mr. Mayor, the people at home can't hear you. If you could just talk into the microphone. Thank you. And that's what we're hearing. It is.
So, just a couple things I just want to throw out there is, first of all, I want everyone to know that, you know, we had long conversations with Ted Scott and Tom DePercio and discussed the fact that the commissioner's job was open. I felt that those were the only two qualified at the DPW at the time to apply for the job, and they both assured me they're going to be sticking around. They did not apply, but they are going to be both sticking around and keeping their current positions, and my guess is we're going to have a great team down there moving forward. Also, when I sent down the request for you for the approval, I was unaware, it was brought to my attention by your trustee secretary, that we weren't allowed to increase vacation time. So as you've seen from your packets that came out, I've sent down a request to allow both me to increase vacation time and steps, as we've talked about in the past, and to allow you to do it, because you didn't even have the authority to increase vacation time. So I want to take that completely off the table. Obviously looking tonight to waive one step with your support, and you know, I think we have a seasoned veteran here to take over as commissioner. He's been down in Oxford running the show down there for many, many years. And I'm not going to try to speak for Sean. I think, you know, he's had a great track record. He's been written up in a couple different magazines for the work he's done down there. And I'm sure that he's going to be joining a team of really, really good people under him. It's a group that, you know, John Maloney worked really hard to season and get ready for the transition as he announced his retirement. And I think we have Sean here that's going to fit right in, and, you know, maybe in a couple of years be taking John's shoes. But, you know, with that, I'll turn it over to Sean Duvall and let him explain a little bit about himself and what he's been doing down in Oxford. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee here. It's a pleasure to be here. And I have to pinch myself a little bit. This is quite an opportunity for me, and I'm very much grateful for that. I've been in public works my entire working life in one facet or another. I started out in the consulting world, working for a large consulting firm, largely on water, sewer, and drainage projects. I cut my teeth on the public sector by going to the town of Concord, and I was there for about 3 years, and that's after about 6 years in the private sector, and really loved it. Really got to love the public work, and then made the move to Oxford, where I've been the public works director there for 13 years. Been very proud of what I've been able to do there, proud of what I've been able to do in my previous employment as well. I love public works, and this is an opportunity that I have been working my whole life for, and I feel so fortunate to be here right now, and very much looking forward to coming to work for the city.
Thank you. I will open up for questions now for any of the Personnel Committee. Councilor Doucette.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Nice meeting you, Sean. Welcome to Marlborough. You definitely have extensive experience, and I just want to cover a couple of things for clarification. There's one point, you were recognized in Public Works Magazine for innovation in the use of de-icing chemicals. What was the innovation, if you don't mind?
So the innovation is I inherited a system in Oxford where it was very sand dependent, and did a whole life cycle analysis of the cost for purchasing the sand, spreading the sand, then picking up the sand, and then of course it's a liability under the current stormwater regulations. So I took a deep dive into that and said, there's got to be a better way. I looked at some other municipalities that had gone to a salt-based system, and we kind of built a little bit of a better mousetrap. We went all salt, but we tapped into this pre-treated salt, and we figured out a way to calibrate our trucks so that we could use as little of it as possible, but to get good results from it. And we started a salt co-op, and we got 21 towns in the co-op that buy through the town of Oxford. And the word caught on, and all of our neighboring municipalities liked what we did, and we kind of taught them our method and our way of calibrating the trucks and whatnot. And we were recognized by the National Public Works Magazine for the very simple approach we took to it, but the very high level of effectiveness we got out of it, and how that we taught our neighboring communities how to do it as well.
Okay. You were at Concord, Oxford. What do you see, I mean, you're looking to Marlborough, but what do you see was the big differences between, how Concord ran things and how Oxford ran things? I mean, what did you find as surprises, or what do you see as, the issues that one municipality had and the other one didn't, or, if you can cover stuff like that?
Sure. So working in the town of Concord, it became very clear to me, and it's probably not a surprise to many people, that it's a very affluent community, and really took care of its infrastructure, and really made a commitment for putting a lot of dollars into maintaining its infrastructure. And that was both a blessing and a challenge, to have that responsibility, to spend the many millions of dollars entrusted to people like me, and to deliver a good product. And we did it well. I'm proud of that. When I went to the town of Oxford, is the polar opposite, very much a blue-collar, working-class town with not a lot of money. And so working through that system, also trying to return the benefit to the community as best I could, seeing that contrast, was quite a thing for me to see, in my career, and having to adapt from one way to the other. As I could apply that to Marlborough, I see a lot of that here. A system where you've got, just touring around this downtown area, a lot of small lots, modest homes, and then in the outskirts, some bigger homes. And so I see where I saw the upper end, we'll say, in Concord, the lower end, we'll say, in Oxford, and that's not to say anything bad or good about any community, but then seeing that blend here seems like a really interesting opportunity.
Okay. Thank you. I'll leave it for someone else.
Is there any other, Councilor Landers?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think I'll have a couple of comments, but Sean, I have one question. Have you ever heard of the French River Collaborative in Oxford?
I have.
Is that still in existence?
It still is in existence.
Yeah, I was in the school department for years, and we used to spend a lot of time. You had a superintendent back in the early 80s, an older man, but he was dynamite. We had this French River Collaborative in conjunction with digital computers, and it was amazing. I used to spend a lot of time up there. So I was just wondering how active that was.
Yeah.
I guess a few comments. I mean, I'm impressed with your resume, really. I mean, you've had quite a variety of work. I mean, Marlborough's a little bigger, but we all know that. And no doubt that you've had success, and you will have no problem with that. I think we're going to find out that we're probably lucky to have you when we get to know you. I think you're lucky to come to Marlborough, too. You got a good staff there. You got, two good guys with you. I guess I could talk about them. I want to talk about the guys I see working around town. And they're unique, Sean. They take so much pride in their work. I don't care if it's the entrance to the middle school. That's more or less I don't want to start naming names because I'll leave someone else, the forestry department or the tree department, you know? And then they did over the new driveway going to the high school, the elementary school, and they take so much pride. You know, they're doing, I kind of call it my parking lot up there in Bolton Street. The mayor will chuckle at that. But they're doing a parking lot across from the early childhood center there. And they didn't do the hot topping, but they're doing the granite work and they're doing this. So I stopped and talked to them, you know, and they did the granite. I think they put the forms in for the sidewalks. I don't think they're gonna do the cement work. What you're gonna find, Sean, that we got a Department of Public Works that take a lot of pride, you know, and I think we have to thank the mayor for that. We gotta thank, you know, the outgoing John Galone, because I hear all the time how good the city looks. And when I stop and talk to the guys, I tell them that, but I also tell them, Sean, I think you're coming into a Department of Public Works that I think they're well-equipped. And I think you gotta thank the mayor for that, and you gotta thank the city council with the capital improvement. I mean, they have, Sean, some trucks, you know, that I'm really impressed with. You know, both the dump trucks, the 18-wheel, the 10-wheelers, 18-wheelers, but they get a truck that picks up branches, because we do, you know, in an ice storm or windstorm, we have a lot of trees that come down. So I think, as I tell them, you know, we've given you the equipment to do the job that we expect of you. And I think that's what you're gonna find, Sean, that you got a good group working with you, you got a good group of foremen, middle management out there, and I think you got a lot of workers that take pride in what they're doing. So I think it's you know, you're lucky to come in here. I think it's gonna be a good job. I think you're gonna grow with it. And, you know, I've had a great career in Marlborough. And I think you're gonna find that Marlborough is a unique city. It's a little different in Concord. It's a little different than some of the towns that are contiguous to us. And I think you're gonna find that people recognize what the Department of Public Works do. They appreciate what they do, from plowing to sanding to salting and making things look good. And that does. I have to give the mayor credit. It starts at the top. I think he's the only guy that rides around Marlborough more than I do. I think he still goes out every morning, and he has a good handle on what needs to be done. And Mr. Mayor, I did take a ride down Round Top today just to see the work they're doing down there. And the end result will be all right. I know the neighbors are happy to get good solid, you know, electricity back. But, so, Mr. Chairman, I don't really have, you know, any real questions for Sean.
Okay.
And the only thing I'm gonna ask the mayor later, whether I should put him on my tour list or not, Mr. Mayor, but we'll talk about that later. Okay, that's all I have to say, yeah.
When he has time,
All right.
What's that?
when he has a day.
I actually have a few questions, if you don't mind, Mr. Duval. So I did a little Google search on the Oxford town and of yourself, and it sounded like in 2019 you were really advocating for a new DPW building, and it went to the town voting, because you guys vote in person with a town hall meeting style, which is very different than city council. So that whole structure is very different as opposed to a town hall. So hopefully we can educate you on how that works here, because it is very different. I was actually taking a course on how towns run, and I can't believe the difference here. But can you speak upon how you're advocating for your employees on the DPW building and why it was so important to get that? It was a 2%, I think it was a 2% override, 2.5% override, if I'm not mistaken. It did not pass, correct?
Sure,
Yeah,
yeah.
thank you.
I can speak to that.
Thank you.
So this was a long time coming to get a new facility for DPW. As you can imagine, over time, the responsibilities of the department grow, the number of people in the department grow, but buildings don't grow unless you put some money into them. And so we have a building that was built in 1970 for a crew of about 10, and now the crew's 27. The fleet is more than doubled. The responsibility of the department is more than doubled. And so we're backing trucks in within inches of each other. There's no health and safety systems in place. There's diesel smoke all over the walls. And it's quite unbelievable that nobody's been hurt, really, with the the way that they get their trucks in there. It's absolutely unbelievable how they do it, especially after a long plowing event. So you look at that as a manager and say, this isn't right. And then the millions of dollars of equipment stored outside as well, and you say that isn't right either. And so we engaged in a RFP to get a consultant in to do just a quick feasibility study for us. And that confirmed what we already knew, which was we had some major problems. And so we brought the outcome of that study to town meeting for an appropriation to do the design work, to go from the feasibility stage to the design stage. And it was narrowly defeated at town meeting, and that is an interesting animal unto itself. But it failed by 6 votes out of over 100. And that was tough, because you look at your employees the next day and say, sorry, I'm sorry. And but in my heart of hearts, I think the town of Oxford will prevail, and we'll get a new building. It will take some time and some kind of wrangling over numbers on how to make it work within the budget, but it's sorely needed, and it's a need that is across many cities and towns in this Commonwealth.
Thank you. When you look at your resume, and obviously the things that came up when you typed in your name is that you did win Employee of the Year, which congratulations to that. So it sounds like you were pretty well loved within your employee base and the other town officials that worked for the town of Oxford. Why, other than obviously the growth potential by coming to Marlborough to work, why would you want to leave a town where you seemed, I'm assuming, loved, if you're willing to get this prestigious award, So can you speak to why, other than the growth potential, why you'd want to leave a town that just gave you this award last year?
That's a tough question I've been asking myself,
Sure.
too. And this wasn't necessarily a job I was looking for. I had just one of those particularly kind of bad days at work. And, kind of went home talking to my wife about it. And she said, maybe you should start looking. And I said, well, maybe. And then we talked about some cities and towns that might fit where I want to be, as where I want to grow. And she said, what about the city of Marlborough? And I said, well, it's always been on my radar, but these jobs are few and far between, and you never know. But wouldn't you know, the next day it was advertised, Commissioner of Public Works. I couldn't believe it, nor could my wife. And I said, well, if that doesn't say apply, then I don't know what will.
Sure.
So I did, and credit to the interview team, and it's just been a fantastic experience here. But it's certainly a place, the type of position that I want in my life, in my career, personally and professionally especially. I've got a lot of talents to bear, and I think I would do well by the city.
Do you have any concerns with Marlborough being almost 3 times as large as residents as Oxford?
I don't, because the work is the work.
Okay.
And I've got a long work history in public works, as I said at the outset. And the challenge for me will be, obviously, to learn the city, to learn the environment I'd be working in, and to understand what it means to work for a city. I haven't had the direct experience working for a city. As a consulting engineer, I had cities as clients. But it'll be different, and it'll be an education. I'm very much looking forward to it. I live in the city of Worcester, so I'm familiar with the city form of government, but I've never worked directly for a city, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Okay. I think you'll find Marlborough residents are very vocal and very passionate. So on that note, is there any other counselors that have any questions? Counselor Irish.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, Mr. Duvall. I want to welcome you to the city of Marlborough, and like the mayor stated and Council Landis stated, we have a wonderful staff for the DPW. We also, every year we're funding capital projects and capital equipment, so this will give you an opportunity to certainly grow in the city, and I think you certainly made a wonderful choice. The residents are wonderful in this city, and you'll get to know everyone, so definitely welcome to the city of Marlborough.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And we'll go any last.
I have a question.
Yes, Councilor Wagner, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Dumas. Hi. I'm glad to have this opportunity to speak with you, Sean. A couple of questions come to mind. One, when you think about your job, and the experience you've had, can you share a little bit about how you think about that in terms of the environment and like thinking about the towns we've worked in, reducing your carbon footprint, energy efficiency, thinking about how you do your job, water conservation. Could you say a few words about that?
Sure, when it comes to efficiencies and, carbon footprints and things like that, it's very much near and dear to me. I spearheaded a program, as many cities and towns have done, but I took the lead on it, and we converted all of our streetlights to LED, which is, it's never a small undertaking, and we're able to do that. We are doing some green communities things right now. We're changing some LEDs in several town buildings. We are also putting in some charge points for electric cars in our municipal parking lots, and that's been a lot of fun too. But it's certainly a topic that's near and dear, and I think that's, the direction that I would love to take the city if the city wants to go in that direction, for sure.
Excellent, thank you. And then just one other question. So, it's challenging work. You will have to juggle many projects, all of which are important and, all want to be done yesterday, and while managing the budget. So it's, I'm always impressed by how the DPW has been run so well. And I was just wondering if you'd say a few words. What is, how have you managed, so you have experience with that, so what helps you manage and keep assess those priorities and be able to, stay, effective and efficient in the work that you're charged with doing? What helps you with that?
Sure, so the first thing to say is it's not easy, and I don't think it ever would be. But what I like to do is rely on a good team. And what I see here in Marlborough is the team seems to be quite strong and deep. And I don't have that in Oxford. It's me, I've got an engineer, and then a facilities director. And then under them, it's all of the men and women that do all of the field work. And so what that translates into is a lot of hard work, a lot of extra hours, but working as a team as much as we can. And so yes, Marlborough is bigger than Oxford for sure, but also the team is bigger. And to hear that the team is good, and from top to bottom, I'm very much looking forward to getting to know everyone in the DPW and working very much in that team atmosphere to get as much done as we can.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Duvall. Thank you, Chair.
And any other questions? All righty, let's have a motion.
Just want to say one thing, Sean. Motion to approve, but there's an issue I'm going to be talking to you about later at the intersection of Farm Road and Country Lane, just to give you a heads up on that one. But anyway, motion to approve the appointment of Sean Duvall as DPW Commissioner for a 5-year term at a 2-step salary schedule, but no 4 weeks vacation.
Got it. I'll second that. Any other discussion? All in favor? 3-0. So we will need a suspension, correct, Mr. Mayor? Is there any objection to a suspension, Councilor Landers or Doucette?
No.
No? All righty, we'll report this out and we'll suspend the rules for Monday's meeting. And then if we could have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second that. All in favor? Any discussion? I don't think there will be, but 3-0, and we adjourn at 7:55. Thank you, Mr. Duvall. So the process is next that we'll go, we have a meeting scheduled for Monday, and then full council will be voting on this, and we usually report it out and then wait to the following meeting, but we asked for a suspension, so we'll be voting on it on Monday.
Okay.
All righty, any other questions for us?
Looking forward to get starting.
All right, thank you very much for coming, and we appreciate it. All righty,
All
have a
right,
great
thank you.
weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.